Just the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody. We're going to get a lesson here from Reverend Myers. Come up.
Bow your heads with me for just a moment. Father, we thank you for this gathering today. Thank you for all the blessings that you bestow upon us. Lord, we pray for the wisdom for our country, from the federal government all the way to the local government. May you bless this gathering today, and I ask you all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend.
Real fast, obviously, dignitaries in the room, Senator Testa, thank you very much for agreeing to do this today. Of course, we'd be remiss to not mention our Mayor Romanek right here. And Cumberland County Commissioner, Ms. Taylor, I believe, came in as well, in the back. Thanks, ma'am. Pardon? Oh, Sheriff, thank you, sir. I missed you on my list here. Thank you. Thanks, Senator. Just real fast for shout out to all of our sponsors here, Diamond sponsors, ARC International / Duran, Millville Savings Bank, Ocean First Bank, the gold sponsors, Allen Associates, Smith's Insurance, silver members, Inspira, The Authority, City of Millville, South Jersey Gas, the NJMP, right here in New Jersey, Motorsports Park, and Christie Funeral Home. So thanks to all the sponsors here that support the chamber. We've had a luncheon here for a couple of months now, so I think this Finish Line Pub's a great venue for this. So shout out to the guys here at the Motorsports Park for doing the buffet, putting all this together. I know it's a lot of work, so thanks to the office and staff here. So shout out to them. And Dawn doesn't mind coming up. We're co-hosting this with Violence, just to say a few words.
Thank you, Rob. I'm Dawn Hunter. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Vineland Chamber of Commerce, and we're very proud to be here today to partner with the Greater Millville Chamber with this District 1 update. We appreciate Senator Testa being here today and look forward to his remarks. Couple of things. We do have a big event coming up. April 4th is our Dandelion event. If no one has been to that, it's a lot of fun. Very casual community event, celebrates spring. If you don't like eating dandelion, there are dishes in the buffet that are not dandelion. There's dancing, photo booth, door prizes. It's April 4th. There's actually a poster on the wall. You can look at that information. And in April, our luncheon is going to feature David Kotok, who is a world-renowned economist. He's written his 5th book, and he's originally from Vineland. So we love to have him as a guest speaker and talk. He's going to do a book signing if you're interested in buying the book as well. So visit our website, vinelandchamber.org, for all those upcoming events. And now I would like to acknowledge our luncheon hosts. There's a lot. So first we have Inspira Health, which is Robin Walton, Chief Philanthropy Officer of Inspira Foundation and Senior Vice President of External Affairs for Inspira. I didn't know, I thought maybe you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's all right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today on behalf of Inspira Health. I bring greetings, and at Inspira, our mission and focus is on improving and stabilizing health and wellness in our region, but also having a positive impact on our communities in Gloucester, Salem, and Cumberland counties. We are so grateful for our strong and growing partnership with each of you in our community, but most especially our dear friend to many of us and advocate to all of us, Senator Testa, who is standing in the back, and our speaker of today. Senator, thank you from the bottom of my heart, our hearts at Inspira, for the work that you do on all of our behalf throughout the state. I'd also like to acknowledge my chairman of the Inspira Health Foundation Board, Gary Galloway, who does sit on the Millville Chamber Board. Gary needs no introduction, but even still, thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Robin. Next, we have Clarity Partners Coaching and Training Services, and that would be Jerry Cavello.
Wow, thank you. What a great turnout today. This is fantastic. Michael, you're quite the draw, my friend. Thank you for that. I just want to take a minute or so and kind of talk about the coaching practice that we have built over the past 8 years. If you approached me at the end of January and said, hey Jerry, what's the name of the business that you operate? I would have said Focal Point Coaching. Effective February 1st, we have engaged in a very huge rebranding campaign under the new name of Clarity Partners, and I'd like to kind of give you some insight on why we made that change. So just some quick history. We founded Focal Point in December of 2016. My focus, coming from Cumberland County, New Jersey, being a small businessman at the time, was, gosh, I'd like to help fellow small businesses get better things. That was my initial vision. Somehow, my business evolved. My business evolved to really work with large corporations, and we built quite a practice. I'm humbled, and God has been wonderful with our business. And we have clients all across the country, large corporations, small companies. Univision Television, Visa is our largest client. They're a $7 billion company. So we've had some fun the last 8 years. 2025 is a transition year because I'm a frustrated business owner. I want to help small businesses. So we looked at a new model incorporating what the needs would be of small businesses. After going through about a month of some focus groups of small business people, we looked to answer the question, how can we support you from a coaching standpoint? And what are the challenges? Well, the challenges were time, right? Small business owners, we don't have enough time to run our business. You want us to engage in a coaching program for time at work. Affordability was another issue. How much is coaching? Well, expensive, right? Corporate America, they use coaching every day. They have entire teams of coaches. Small business people were left out. So our vision was this: how can we bring together selected strategic partners to deliver content to the small business community that would allow them the opportunity to engage in coaching? So because of the partnerships we have forged, we are using additional coaches that specialize in certain topics. We are heavily into technology. One of the things that we're offering now for business owners who just don't have the time to get involved in coaching is a robust online success series of classes. So people can go home at night after a day of work, they can engage in what is really powerful information online, they can do it themselves. If they choose, they can select our coaching to get some additional coaching on top of that. In addition to that, what we are doing now is engaging in mastermind sessions for small business owners. And when I say small business, it's from those startup businesses, the businesses with gross revenue 25 million and below. So that's what I consider small business. We are also, in addition to mastermind classes, also doing group coaching. So if a group of business owners want to get together, specific to a topic, we can address those topics pretty specifically. Personally, I'm excited because it gives me the opportunity to truly engage with the fellow businesses in Cumberland County. Again, I have businesses all across the country that I deal with and enjoy the process. I would rather enjoy that process with fellow businesses here in Cumberland County. So if you want more information, our brochure is on the table. I'd be happy to talk to you about the specifics of how to engage in a coaching process that's unique to your business. And again, thank you for allowing me to make this brief presentation today. And Dawn, it's always good to work with you.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. I guess I'll try, oh, I must be magic. Okay, next up we have Professional Liability Insurance Group, Shane Bevilacqua. I don't know.
All right, there we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Shane Bevilacqua. I'm the owner and principal of Professional Liability Insurance Group, an agency in Vineland that I acquired in 2007. I'd like to thank the good senator for attending today. Looking forward to what you're going to inform us about. And thank the Millville Chamber of Commerce and Vineland Chamber of Commerce for bringing us all here together and supporting this event. Over the years, I've spent maybe over 30 years now in the Cumberland County area making Millville and Vineland my home. And with that, PLIG, or Professional Liability Insurance Group, has grown with this county. And I appreciate that. And it's all built around the relationships that we've built here, and we've expanded since then into 11 states across the nation. Most recently, we created Bevilacqua Insurance Group, or BIG, to merge alongside PLIG to better serve our clients and their needs, so we can offer a full gamut of services as trusted risk advisors. So that could not happen without the relationships we've built here in this county, especially in these two towns, so I'm very grateful for that. With that, I would say I'm looking forward to hearing what Senator Michael has to say, and here's to all our future success together. Thank you.
Green Flag Committee, Don Faubergar.
I don't know if it's going to work for me or not, but welcome, Senator Mike, to this thing never works. Anyway, Senator, welcome back to the park again for I don't know how many visits it's been since you started doing this, but I'm going to be real quick. What's really hitting me today is 18 years ago this year, in this room, Green Flag Committee held our very first Coach for Kids event with 188 children needy children from Cumberland County. Fast forward 18 years, and here we are now having handed out to needy children across 17 elementary school districts, 10,368 brand new Coach winter hats, scarves, and other winter wear. So we're pretty proud, very, very proud of that accomplishment. We're going to continue for God only knows how long, but we can't do it without the support. Real quickly, our major supporters are Atlantic City Electric from day one, South Jersey Gas from day one, now Thunderbolt Credit Union. Members of the Drivers Club here, our owners, Lee Brand and RJ Valentine, are very supportive of the projects that we do. And Porsche clubs, sports car clubs, they're all very, very generous to the Green Flag Committee, which enables us to do what we do. And that's, in 18 years, we have literally contributed over $2 million in either cash or coats and wearing apparel for the children of Cumberland County. Thanks for being part of it. Thanks for being here at the park.
Thanks, Don. We're going to take 2 minutes for Executive Director Jerry come back up, say what's going on with the Chamber, some upcoming events, and we'll get right on with the program with the Senator.
Dare I use this again? Okay. What we'd like to do when we get to this part of the agenda is acknowledge the great work of our board members. So if you are a board member, please stand. What a pleasure it is to work with such an energized group of business professionals. I'm humbled to be in those meetings and to hear all the great ideas that are coming up. And you're kind of seeing the result of all that. So thank you all your board members for your total commitment to the organization. I'd also, a very special welcome to our newest board member that was approved at our February board meeting, Seal Smith, who is Deputy Executive Director of the BRBA, is the newest member of our Board of Trustees, and Seal, if you can stand. We are so excited to have Seal on our board. She brings a lot of good ideas. We're looking at some great things. We're continuing to look to enhance the membership of our Board of Trustees, and we have certainly done that. So thank you again for joining our organization. So here's what's going on. On March 27th, we have 50 seats available for a special mixer at Mission Spirits. As soon as we posted it, within an hour or two, we had 20 people that signed up. So apparently, Mission Spirits is a good place to go. I checked this morning. We have 43 seats taken, so there are 7 seats taken, 7 seats available still for this mixer. It, again, is March 27th from 5 to 7. There'll be plenty of snacks. There will be a signature drink provided by Jay and his team. So if you're looking to network with a little snack to it, I would say, join us on March 27th. April 9th, we will welcome the Cumberland County Campus Educational Foundation to speak about their ongoing support of our students and their scholarship program that just happened to give out $600,000 in aid in 2024. $600,000 in aid. We want to hear what they're doing. So join us on April 9th. That will be right here. And let's hear about their work across the community and providing financial aid to students across the county. And finally, thank you to everyone who participated in the nomination process for the 2025 Pride in Millville event, and that will be held May 22nd at the Levoy Theater. I am incredibly pleased to officially announce today, right now, that Craig Atkinson will be the 2025 recipient of this award. I have to tell you on a personal note, when I talked to Craig about this, basically I said, hey, what are you doing on the 22nd of May? And he said, I don't know, what am I doing? And I said, well, we got Pride in Millville, you should show up. And he said, I don't know, why? I said, you should really show up. So he said, why? I said, there's an award or something that you're going to get. So he said, what are you talking about? And I said, Pride in Millville award, like the highest award you can get in the city. Apparently your name's on it. So he got a little teary-eyed. I got a little teary-eyed because he got teary-eyed. We gave each other a man hug, right? And I look forward to really celebrating Craig Atkinson and all the things that he has done for the city. But if you don't know Craig, he is Millville through and through, right? Can we support that with a round of applause? Millville. Of course, there are category winners too. They will be announced shortly. But we wanted to really spotlight Craig and tell you that you need to be there on May 22nd to help us celebrate that. Okay? And I think that's all I have. Rob? Here. Put your magic on that.
Like Fonz with the snapping. Senator, if you're ready, normally we take a short break, but it's 12:30. If you're ready to go? I'm ready. All right, Senator Michael Testa, thank you.
Let's see if I can get this mic to keep working, hopefully. Microphone check. 1, 2, what is this, right? I got you. So first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank the Millville Chamber of Commerce and how they partnered with the Vineland Chamber of Commerce to host this wonderful event. I have so many people to thank in this room, and it's really great to see my good friend that I get to see in Trenton all the time, Michael Egginton from the State Chamber of Commerce. I really appreciate Michael because he recognizes greatness as soon as he sees it. And in my freshman term, I was the first legislator in his history with the State Chamber of Commerce to receive Legislator of the Year, which really ticked off a lot of other legislators, which I like to do. So thank you again, Michael, for that. That was a few years ago. I want to thank my good friend Todd Edwards for providing the picture today that you all see. That's always in his wallet. It's really incredible. Thank you, Todd. I'm sorry I told everyone that, but But there are some folks in this room that are really pillars of the community, but I want to be clear, our chambers of commerce are the backbone of every single community throughout the state of New Jersey. All of the small businesses that are represented by the various chambers, whether it's the Southern New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, and our friend Christina Wren is not here today for some inexplicable reason. Right. Oh, I am. But the State Chamber, the Vineland Chamber, the Millville Chamber, it really is incredible to see all of the great work that is done. And trust me, your voices are heard not only in your municipalities, not just your counties. They're heard in Trenton under the Gold Dome. And I think they're getting louder and louder, those voices. But it's wonderful when you get to partner with your health group like Inspira Health, and you have great relationships. But this is individuals too. You look at Cumberland and Salem County's Big Brothers Big Sisters, which is one of the areas where I really got my start in digging my heels into the community. And there's no better executive director in the state of New Jersey than Donna Bennett. I want to be very clear about that. Some of you folks I've known practically my whole life. Cosmo Giovinazzi, you were one of them. But also Gary Galloway. I went to preschool with his son. Gary has been volunteering his time, I'll give you some kudos, and expertise to various groups pretty much my entire life. So when I say that people are the backbone of this organization, and Shane Bevilacqua served with me on Big Brothers and Big Sisters, there are some real stakeholders in this room, and everybody is, but there are some that really stand out to me, and I can't thank you enough. But I'm here to talk about what's happening in Trenton. And just last night, the governor released what we call the big book on the budget. And I want to put something very clear, and I'm not here to be partisan whatsoever. These are just facts. Under Governor Christie, the last budget was $34 billion. Today's budget is over $58 billion in 8 years. I'm here to tell you folks, that's not a sustainable level of growth in budget. And right now, what we have in our budget is a $4 billion structural deficit. That means we're spending $4 billion more than we're taking in. And it's not lost on me who I'm speaking to today. I'm speaking to members of a Chamber of Commerce. You cannot run your business at a structural deficit. And I'm not saying that we should be running government exactly like we should be running business, but it should look eerily similar. And we certainly can't operate at a massive deficit of $4 billion. And I made a joke the other day on a Zoom, and my chief of staff is here, Casey, somewhere. Oh, there you are. You were over there a few seconds ago. But, I made a joke on a Zoom, and I'm going to talk about something really positive. But I said, before I got into government, $500 million sounded like a lot of money. $4 billion is a massive structural deficit. We need to correct this. This can't continue. And I can tell you that your chambers of commerce, this will be my 6th budget, have been shouting from the rooftops that we need to tighten the belt in Trenton, that we need to focus more on our small businesses, that we can't continue with a corporate business tax that ranks in the bottom 5 in the United States each and every year, that businesses are fleeing our state. We need to make sure that whoever is the governor after this November hears that. And look, I get along with Governor Murphy. We actually don't agree on much policy, but we get along very well, and I'm going to get into that. So what am I doing in Trenton? So we just secured money for the CC Tech. I don't know if anybody saw that. $7.625 million for advanced manufacturing at the CC Tech. So that's really important to me. I'm the chair of the Manufacturing Caucus. That is a bipartisan, bicameral caucus. That means it's in the Senate and in the Assembly, and both parties are represented. And I've been the chair now for 4 years. You're supposed to only really be chair of a caucus for about 2 years, and then they move you out. They have not allowed me to leave because I really care about advanced manufacturing. So many of our young people have been told that they need to go to college for 4 years and get what many agree is a useless degree, and they're not really hireable in the job market. Advanced manufacturing, the average manufacturing job in the state, and I have to give a shout out to New Jersey Manufacturers Extension Program, is $65,000 per year with benefits. That's without a 4-year degree. That's without 4-year college debt. And what's beautiful about those jobs is that they're really not just jobs, they're careers. There's so much room for upward mobility through the use of what's called stackable credentials through your community colleges. And the reason that we're doing this at the CC Tech, look, I'm a lawyer, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. At the County College of Morris, they have an advanced manufacturing wing that I was at the ribbon cutting of. And I said, well, geez, this is amazing. They're going to provide lateral moves for veterans that are coming home from serving our country, people who realize they don't want to go to a 4-year college, people who may have been in a dead-end job where they're making slightly above minimum wage and realize, wait a minute, I could get a job in manufacturing and make a very good living wage with benefits for them and their families. So right now in the state of New Jersey, if any of you hear young people talk about how there's no jobs, they're not telling you the truth. Just in manufacturing alone, standing here today, there are 40,000 manufacturing job vacancies. 40,000. That's a remarkable number. And what we have to do to change the perception of manufacturing is that manufacturing is now a clean business. Typically when you're in a manufacturer, it's not ultra hot. Obviously our glass houses are, because guess what, there's no other way to make glass unless it is really hot. But they're clean places. If you look at places that make cold cuts, you know, Jerry, we like prosciutto and capicola, right? I mean, that's right. So we have Rovagnati and Lavoni. Those places look like hospitals when you walk in them. They're ultra clean. We have to change the perception of manufacturing. But the County College of Morris, I said, should be the North Pole for manufacturing, and that right here, Rowan College of South Jersey and CC Tech should be the South Pole. So we're accomplishing that with this new wing. So I touched upon one of the issues about this $58 billion budget. So my colleagues and I've served on the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee now. This will be my 6th year. So day one, literally the first day I was in the Senate, which was December of 19, I had a budget committee. I had no idea what this was. I'll be very honest with you. I was sort of like the proverbial dog that caught the car. Now what do? And my first day there, I'm in a budget hearing. And I realized, wow, this is really serious. And my colleagues like Senator Steve Oro, who is now retired, and Senator Declan O'Scanlan, who's now the budget chair, it's pretty odd that I've been there now. I'm kind of a veteran of the Senate. I'm the ranking member on the Republican side of the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee. We've been sort of shouting from the rooftops that New Jersey is headed for this fiscal cliff. And not many people have been listening. Guys like Michael Egginton listened. Our chambers of commerce listen throughout the state. But those on the opposite side of the aisle, and again, I'm not trying to be partisan here, haven't. They've kind of doubled down on really bad spending policies. We had a $10 billion surplus at one point. Now to me, surplus is a strange name. In business, when you have a surplus, it means you have additional money and that you don't have liabilities that outweigh this thing that you're calling a surplus. Not in Trenton. Under the Gold Dome, you can have a $10 billion surplus and $40 billion in liabilities, which is about what we have, by the way, over the long term. And we warned the governor, we said, listen, don't spend down this surplus. We need this. We need a rainy day fund. Well, we're now spent about $7 billion of that surplus, and we're in trouble, and we're operating at a $4 billion deficit. That's a problem. That's a real problem. We've been shouting from the rooftops. I see some educators in the room, people that I call friends. There's a school funding formula problem in Trenton, a major one. Look, I went to Vineland High School, which was pre-Abbott. It was back when it was called the Dirty 30 School Districts, for those of us who were old enough to remember that. Then they became the Abbott districts. But there are certain school districts that are getting quite literally about $1 billion, and they can't read. They're not passing basic skills tests. That's a real problem. And then you have a small little township like Dennis Township that I represent in Cape May County. And they're an outlier, but it shouldn't happen. If this formula is working, this should not happen at all. And it's not a case of a population of n equals 1, but Dennis Township is probably the worst example in the state. They've lost over 70% of their school funding in the last 5 years. They've cut basic skills teachers. They've cut every extracurricular activity. And next year, parents are going to have to pay $1,000 to send their kid on a bus, because this is called courtesy busing. That's insanity. That's not fairness. That's not part of what I think is a thorough and efficient education as is required by our Constitution. I'll move on from that. Right now I'm working on a forestry fire legislation. For those that are aware, California had some really bad forest fires. We all saw it. They were ill-prepared. And I'm not here to say that New Jersey is ill-prepared, but we're doing an investigation to make sure that we're not ill-prepared, and we're going to shore up our weak spots. I think that's something that we desperately need to do. Because guess what? I don't want to be in a position where people are telling me, I told you so. So look, I think I'm a decently smart individual, but guess who I talk to? I talk to the experts, the people that are in the forestry, the people that are firemen and women throughout the state of New Jersey. And they're telling me what is necessary. So I'm working on that to have a commission to make sure that we are prepared in the state of New Jersey so that we don't have a massive forest fire through the Pine Barrens and throughout the state. So, Jerry, I actually have a bill for you. I think you know that already. And he spoke a little bit about it, to provide business coaching programs for child care providers. These are important things. And folks, when I say there are stakeholders in the community, it's obvious Jerry Covell is one of them. You make an appointment at my office, guess what happens? If I think it's a really good idea, and Jerry, you have a really good idea, it gets put pen to paper and a bill all of a sudden appears. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen or that Governor Murphy's going to sign it into law, but guess what? People are going to be made aware of it. And sometimes it takes a year or 2 or 3 to get people to be really aware of an issue that makes a whole lot of common sense. One of them was, I won't get into it right now, I introduced a bill in March of 2021 that people told me I was crazy about, but now Governor Gavin Newsom thinks is a fantastic idea. I'll let you figure that one out on your own. So, I've already talked about how important manufacturing is to me. And the reason I think it's really important, and I know it's really important, is because the amount of money that gets put into the economy by our manufacturers. And what's really interesting to me about our manufacturers, and if we have any of them in the room, please raise your hand, is that they're sort of out of the political realm completely. And it's a good thing that they are. They're making their widget and bringing it throughout the state of New Jersey, throughout the United States, and really throughout the world. There's a sign on the Trenton Bridge that says, Trenton makes, the world takes. I really want to make that mean something again. And where it becomes really difficult for our manufacturers is the corporate business tax, overburdened with regulations. And what does that do to a family business that has been here for quite literally, maybe some of them, 100 years? They stay here, but they're surviving, they're not thriving. They're not reinvesting in their business. We want reinvestment. We also want innovation. Well, they're not going to innovate if they think they're going to be strangled by a new regulation. So every now and again what happens is a manufacturer says, wait a minute, my family's been making this widget for 75 years at this location. We've never polluted, we've never done anything wrong, and now there's a new regulation that we're going to make less money this year than we did 20 years ago. How does that make sense? And part of the culture, and Dawn, you've heard me speak about this before, that happens in Trenton is that there's this idea that corporations are inherently bad, that they exploit their workers, that they're looking to pollute, and we legislate and regulate to the bad actors. That's a real problem. And worse is that they have a never-ending deep pocket. That's the thought process. And I see Michael Eggington shaking his head, yes, which means I'm doing good. So we're trying to change that culture in Trenton. And what I'm about to do right now, and this is where I say Governor Murphy and I work really well together. Myself and Senator Greenstein, who is my co-chair in the bipartisan, bicameral manufacturing caucus, and it's going to be a Testa Greenstein bill. It's going to be $500 million in tax credits for advanced manufacturing. That money, those tax credits, are going to be coming from the money that was set aside for offshore wind, because we've seen that's an utter and total failure and disaster, and thank God that it is, because we saw what was happening with it, at least in my opinion. So if you ask, I think I'm up here to give you my opinion. And so that $500 million is going to go to do what? Job creation, innovation, You're going to see more people employed and hopefully training, Jerry, right? So they're going to have many more people to fill those 40,000 current vacancies, and we're going to really make that mean something. Now, I don't want you to think, though, that there isn't manufacturing happening in the state. There's over 9,500 manufacturers, but I'll give you an example of one that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I like breweries. There's one close by, Glasstown. We had such awful regulations in the state of New Jersey that the state of Pennsylvania in the summer of '23 was mocking the state of New Jersey, saying, bring your breweries over here, move your business from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, you'll be able to thrive here. On their official Facebook page, they were mocking us. That's really, really a slap in the face. We don't want that to happen. We don't want our manufacturers to leave. We don't want to have to go to Pennsylvania to get our favorite local brew that we used to like. So that bill is, we're still working on the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's. And again, you can imagine when you're dealing with a number like $500 million, and that was the joke that I had made before I got into government. $500 million sounded like a lot of money because there was $1 billion set aside for offshore wind. So of course I went for the billion. And I said, well, why aren't you guys doing $1 billion? And they said, well, we'll give you 500. So, you know, you shoot for the stars, hope to land on the moon, I guess. Recently, you know, energy costs are a serious thing. Everybody knows that. And people think I engage in hyperbole. On this one, I'm not at all, and I typically don't. I introduced a bill to disband the Board of Public Utilities. And the reason I did that is because I can tell you my legislative office is inundated with emails, letters, phone calls about rising energy costs. Now, there's a reason of why that's happening, and it's very complicated. But part of it is that we've gone through this undying pursuit of alternative energy sources. In our state, offshore wind. There obviously under President Biden was the Green New Deal. There's also this energy conglomerate called the PJM. So what was happening is reliable and sustainable energy sources, plants were being shut down in favor of searching for alternative sources of energy. And here's where I will say something about my time at Villanova, where your daughter is taught. One of my favorite professors always said, you have to start at the beginning. So with the BPU, I start at the beginning. I look at their mission statement. And it says they're there to help provide reliable and sustainable energy sources to the ratepayers. Well, what have they done? I think they've abandoned their mission. So when an organization completely abandons their mission, I think it's time for them to go. They've overstayed their welcome. This summer, our ratepayers, whoever has Atlantic City Electric, is looking at a 25% rate increase. 25%. That's unsustainable, and it's unfair. And I can tell you, this is when I say I work across the aisle with former Senate President Steve Sweeney. There is a substation at Carl's Corner, everybody knows where that is, in Cumberland County, that is now 30 years deficient. The BPU has allowed that to happen. So what does that do? It stifles development, and this is really interesting. At the time, and I'll give a shout out to the authority on this one, I don't always agree with them. On this one, I agree with them 100%. We had the opportunity to get a film studio in Cumberland County, in Deerfield. And the gentleman who was the investor had amassed a certain amount of money, it was about $30 million, but was told by Atlantic City Electric, you have to do an upgrade to the substation and run the lines, and that's going to cost you an additional $5 million. The guy says, I don't have an additional $5 million. And on the telephone with me, you can imagine he was pretty hot under the collar. And he said, Senator Testa, I got to tell you, I love Cumberland County. I want to invest here. I love the rural nature of it. But I didn't realize that meant I could not get blank electricity. That's a tough call to have, folks. And just yesterday, you know, look, I believe in a tax credit system. It brings jobs. It brings amazing things. Just yesterday, in this legislative district, I was on a film set, a Steven Spielberg film set in Tuckahoe. It was remarkable. Think about it, folks. 300 people who are employed right now are working in the district that wouldn't otherwise be here. They're throughout Atlantic, Cape May, and portions of Cumberland County. It's really remarkable. Think of the influx of money that brings. think of what the influx would have been had we not lost a film studio to Jersey City or Bayonne or one of those, and it would have been in Cumberland County. We messed up. And I can tell you I'm working very closely with Exelon, not so much Atlantic City Electric, but their parent company, because I do believe it's a case of, if you build it, they will come. Because if it's not there, they won't. And if you can't develop, people aren't going to say, hey, listen, we have to pay for somebody else's upgrades to their electrical system. The BPU has failed. So the average bill for Atlantic City Electric customers will raise by $28.02 to $190.62. JCP&L, which is Jersey Central Power and Light bills, will go up by $22.67. That's 20.2% to $134.92. PSE&G bills will raise by $26.87. That's 17.24%, reaching $182.71. That's a problem. I also am going to be introducing a bill to keep companies from sharing data with foreign adversaries. I don't know if you know, have been paying attention. Our Easy Passes, the parent company of folks who run Easy Pass, is in China. Does that make any sense whatsoever? And by the way, the company that was the lower bid was $250 million lower than that company, and they're in New Jersey. Make it make sense to me. Please, make it make sense. So I'm going to introduce a bill. I'm not really happy that a company's parent company is in China and our data could be shared with them. I have a real problem with that. For those of us who like oysters, anybody in this room? I'm a big fan. Great. Good to know. Good to know. So for anybody that knows me, I'm either at Sweet Amalia Oysters for breakfast. On Friday nights, I'm at our Bayshore Center having some of the fresh shucked oysters. I love them. There's a bill to change the definition of aquaculture, which will help the industry grow. They also need an appropriation, and it's fascinating what we have here. For those who have never really taken a visit to the Bayshore Center or to the Haskins Lab, it's remarkable. The Haskins Lab right in Port Norris. I mean, I learn every day on this job. I'm so blessed to be in this job. I can't thank you all enough who have helped put me in this job. And if you didn't, maybe next time I'll convince you to do so. But the Haskins Lab, right in Cumberland County, mapped the oyster genome. So if you've ever eaten a Cape May salt, a Sweet Amalia, a Violet Sky, which is in Barnegat, it came from the work that was done in Cumberland County by one scientist. It's remarkable. Worldwide, it's a $5 billion industry. Just Google this, the triploid oyster. For those who are into science, the triploid, T-R-I-P-L-O-I-D oyster. It all started in Cumberland County. And if you went to visit the Haskins Lab, it would have looked like your 12th grade biology place. It should be a lot more elaborate, in my opinion, but they get by with very, very little. And they run a lean operation that is world-renowned. So I see some problematic bills in Trenton. The electric vehicle mandate, which also had the Advanced Clean Truck Act. It was adopted in December of 2021 and became effective January 1st of this year. It was written based on California regulations, what were called the Cal-Lev-Zev regulations. California, low emission vehicle, zero emission vehicle. All this stuff kind of happens under your nose, and you would ask yourself, why in God's name would we just wholly adopt California regulations without looking into them? And a few years ago, Michael, I think you were there for this, when New Jersey Transit came to testify, and I have a real issue with New Jersey Transit. In case if anybody that follows me, I call them North Jersey Transit. They run at $1 billion deficit. They're terrible, they're awful. Again, we should go back to private industry, in my opinion, because all they've done, the government came and screwed it up royally, and that's me being as scientific and nice as I possibly can. They were talking about an electric bus pilot program, which was going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. And I raised my hand and I said, excuse me, we don't need an electric bus pilot program. We need buses in Cumberland County. We need public transportation. We need people to be able to be moved from point A to point B via public transportation. So getting back to this Advanced Clean Truck Act, I have a client from my law office right now that wanted to purchase 2 trucks. Now, buying a truck, you have to order it. Now there's a chassis waiting for it to be built because they're multi-use chassis, but they're specifically ordered and typically not in the state of New Jersey. Guess what? Because of this Advanced Clean Truck Act, they want to spend over $500,000, but they can't because they don't have enough credits under this Advanced Clean Truck Act. It's ridiculous. It's really, really problematic. It was intended to accelerate a large-scale transition to zero emission on medium and heavy-duty vehicles, and it specifically targets truck manufacturers. It limits manufacturers to produce on-road vehicles over 8,500 pounds for sale in New Jersey on or after January 1st of this year. Trucks are built after the purchase, unlike a car dealership, is what I said. Truck manufacturers must build electric heavy-duty trucks to earn tax credits in order to sell diesel trucks. This led to trucking companies listing New Jersey under not intended for sale or registration on the manufacturer's sale of origin, which is an MSO. It's an MSO document, since they don't receive tax credits. And I already told you about our local place. They couldn't purchase 2 vehicles. Now here's a company that's trying to scale, serve their clientele, and they can't. And these aren't trucks that you can just go buy on the used market. They don't exist. They're built for very specific purposes. So again, when I say this in Trenton a lot, that, hey, this bill may be good intentioned, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. There's also a heat stress bill. Who's heard about this one? Anybody read about this? All right, 2 people, that's great. This is part of the problem why the media doesn't exist anymore, right? Like, the media doesn't exist. I remember growing up, my father was a 3 newspaper reader. The Vineland Daily Journal, the Atlantic City Press, and the Philadelphia Inquirer. This is a very real problem that I didn't intend to discuss today. We don't have local media coverage, so nobody knows what the mayor of Millville is doing. Nobody knows what Senator Testa is doing. Nobody knows what the Millville Chamber of Commerce is doing, unless you're banging your own drum constantly on social media. It's a real problem, folks. It is a very real problem. But this heat stress bill, we're called the Garden State, right? Everybody goes out to their license plate, looks at the bottom of it, says Garden State. I remind people in Trenton under the Gold Dome of that all of the time. This heat stress bill will eliminate farming. Anything over 85 degrees, shut down. Think about that for a second. Your roofer, no, he's not working, it's 85 degrees. Your fisherman, no, 85 degrees, can't do it. What they don't understand, and I'm trying to make them understand, is if it's really hot out and you don't pick the produce that day, it will be rotten the next day if it's not picked. They don't seem to understand that, and Trenton is never, ever short on kooky ideas like this. And you might say to yourself, that'll never pass. Trust me, it has support, and unfortunately, it might just be crazy enough that it does pass. We can't allow this to happen. It will destroy our farming industry throughout the state of New Jersey. So, things that are going on inside of Legislative District 1, I told you yesterday, it was really remarkable that I got to visit a movie set, a Steven Spielberg movie set in southern New Jersey. And things are going really well for the producers, that they want to come back in the future. They said that on the set yesterday. They're really happy with what the state has done with our film tax credit system. Other states are finding ways to mess theirs up. I'm here to tell you this is going to be a massive influx for our state, and our chambers of commerce should be well aware of it. And everybody should be well aware of it. It's going to help our restaurants, it's going to help our hotels, it's going to help everything. And I get it sometimes. Some organizations get upset and they say, well, why does that industry get a tax credit and we don't? Well, just the massive amount of volume that's going to come in through the film tax credit, I think it's made me a believer, and I'm not typically one that says, hey, you know, that's plays favorites. So Cumberland County, which is near and dear to me because I was born and raised in Vineland and still live there. You know, the two major things that I'm really trying to work hand in glove with our county commissioners is county parks. Cumberland County is the only county in the state of New Jersey that doesn't have a thriving parks and recreation system. It's never made sense to me. I'm tired of Cumberland County being the butt of jokes, and trust me folks, sometimes it is, in Trenton, because of some of the statistics. I know that the commissioners are doing everything that they possibly can to change that. I know that our mayors are doing everything that they can to change that. I know that our chambers of commerce are doing everything that they can to change the metrics. I know I'm working hand in hand with our local health system to change some of those metrics so that we're not 21 out of 21 all of the time. And I can't thank our health system enough for all of the work that they do and the outreach and how they work hand in glove with my office. So the last thing I want to talk about is transportation. I already touched on it about New Jersey Transit and how I call it North Jersey Transit. This is something that really stings, and I really don't like how the wheels of government turn so slowly. It bothers me. You know, I get to meet some great people in this job. I get to meet captains of industry is what I call them, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in the film industry, whether it's in the healthcare industry, whether it's in the casino industry. You know, I happen to be like friendly with Joe Gingoli of Hard Rock, Frank Rocco of Ocean, two great guys that desperately need employees just to start in housekeeping. And you might say to yourself, that's such a low rung, Michael. Why? Well, guess what? Those people that work in housekeeping at our local casinos get full union benefits. So what does that provide? More health care for their families. Provides them a living wage. It also provides them upward mobility within the casinos. I can tell you this much, I've run into, it's probably not 50, it's probably more like 100 individuals that I've spoken to personally that started out either parking cars or in housekeeping and are now in managerial positions making very real dollars per year in a career in our casinos. But what's the problem? Getting people from Cumberland County, we have that beautiful bus depot in Vineland, that doesn't have buses that run enough lines to Atlantic City for employees. That is a very real problem. I'm working very closely with New Jersey Transit to start a pilot program to do just that. Because I have to tell you, I find it to be really reprehensible on their part, and I told them this, that you had two casinos, captains of industry that I just mentioned, that were going to pay for their own busing. That doesn't make sense. That when you have public transportation, isn't it meant at the very basic bare minimum to transport people to their jobs? One would think. So, you know, when I say I have a chip on my shoulder about South Jersey, it's a giant chip. Because in North Jersey, they have buses going, literally, with sometimes they say 6 people on it. 6 people for some runs on a full big bus. If we can't fill a bus out of Vineland, New Jersey to Atlantic City for great jobs, we have a problem. And I'm here to tell you we can absolutely do it and it should be done. That's something that I was actually already working on pre-COVID, which really bothers me that it takes this long. I mean, obviously COVID was a huge, you know, who can prepare for a 100-year pandemic? Nobody, really. But that's something that we're working on. I intend to get that across the finish line for all of Atlantic City, not just the 2 casinos I mentioned. And that's going to go a long way to employ individuals who are really in some dead-end jobs that do not have good union benefits. So that's really all I have. You know, I was told by Jerry I could speak for 40 minutes. I think I got it at about 35. And thank you all for listening. You all were very intent. But you said you wanted some Q&A?
Anyone has a question?
Please.
I have a question.
Sure.
You referred to advanced manufacturing. What is that?
So that's just the term that they use for manufacturing, but typically that means that there's, you know, an assembly line. Like if you see, like it's amazing. Like I was just at Chem Glass. They just got a new machine in that has 16 heads to do 16 vials at one time. It's remarkable. So I would say that that's really advanced manufacturing, not someone, you know, hand blowing glass. That's manufacturing, but it's not, you know, not advanced, you know, with assembly lines and things of that nature. Where that investment can be, Gary, I can tell you, is the bill that I'm working on, that $500 million tax credit, is going to more than likely start at the $10 million investment range or reinvestment in addition to employing more people. There's going to be a real incentive there because obviously, look, whether you like President Trump or not, President Trump is doing his very best to bring manufacturing back to the United States of America. If he's doing that, we should make sure that we try to get as much manufacturing right here in the state of New Jersey. And look, I got to tell you, Gary, here in Cumberland County and in a lot of sections of Cape May County, which are more landlocked than even, than Cumberland County, we have a lot of land that's not necessarily expensive. So if people are looking to build or scale their manufacturing facility, they can do it right here in the 1st Legislative District.
Thank you.
Michael.
And that's a good setup to where I was going, because congrats to Vineland securing an emerging industry, AI, artificial intelligence, which is the future. I mean, you saw Microsoft gave a lot of money to Pennsylvania and 3 Mile Island and say, oh, we don't need the energy to do it. I hate to tell you that on Monday, the Senate Environmental Energy Bucks has bills to say, well, you have certain energy, supplies AI, otherwise don't go. You can't get with this. We got to make sure that an industry that you said, perfect area for those types of industries to come up. You can't put up those hurdles, not allow them to come to South.
Absolutely. Look, I happen to know a lot about that facility, and John Ruga has been doing some amazing work right here in South Jersey. I mean, it's really incredible what's happening there. But I will tell you that they probably need about 300 megawatts of power, and only 50 are going to be coming from Atlantic City Electric. The rest of it's going to be behind the meter. That's not really an easy feat. You have to have real dollars behind you to be able to do that. But it's such a burgeoning industry where a whole lot of money can be made, God bless them, that it's going to be worth the initial investment for the energy, for sure. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
In the job, in the manufacturing job, the training out of CTEC, wouldn't it be advisable to develop a job placement, service for these students? Because it's one thing to get the training, it's another thing to find out where the jobs are.
Well, that's going to be all-encompassing. So, and what you also need, and I appreciate that, because this brings me back to the County College of Morris. You need community investment in advanced manufacturing. What I mean by that is, at the County College of Morris, they have a couple full assembly lines from specific companies there, so that those employees can get trained and accredited or re-accredited on those machines. And there's sort of a third, in my opinion. I think, I don't want to hold them to exact numbers, but there's about a third investment from the county for the machine, a third investment from the manufacturer, and a third from, some other source to secure those assembly lines. So that when I toured County College of Morris, one of the manufacturers had about 14 individuals being trained, for, I think it was a 6-week course that they were taking, which are stackable credentials for their accreditation on those machines. Where I will tell you, where the logjam sometimes happens, some of those manufacturers that are making a ton of money are saying, well, why would I do that? I'll train them here. And the solution is, if you think about it, yeah, but you don't have to shut down an entire assembly line in your plant. You have it at the college. It helps enrollment numbers for the college. You're not paying 100% for that additional assembly line and other factors there. I mean, so you're absolutely right. I mean, I can tell you at the County College of Morris, they have 100% like job placement, like 100%. Yes, Dawn?
We don't hear though.
Well, I just want to add something to that. I chair the board of the Cumberland-Salem Cape May Workforce Development, and we do have feeder programs for advanced manufacturing training, and there's a great synergy between the tech school, the college, and the workforce development board to make that happen.
That's wonderful to know. So, again, one of the things I can tell you, Reverend, is that what I'm trying to break down are the walls of the silos that exist. Since I got into government, there's the senator, and there's a silo there. Then the assembly, and there's an additional silo. County government is another silo. Municipal government is another silo, and there's not necessarily open communication. So what I tried to do is have a very linear communication between myself, Antoine McClellan, my Assemblyman Eric Simonson, and the county commissioners, so that this way that there's just constant communication, so that we actually know what each other is doing, so that obviously we're not doing duplicitous work, and that we have solutions like that. So that's great to know, Tom. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Senator, I'm Lisa,
There certainly should be. Unfortunately, the airport lost its FTZ designation. I think that was last June or July, which I think that was something that really should have, it can be re-upped. I can help out with that. I think that's something that would spurn development. I think more people need to know about what's happening there all the time and what the opportunities are there. It's sort of like Cumberland County's best kept secret, but I think it's too good of a secret, and the fact that more people need to know about it and what's happening out there. So I think that there's just ample opportunity, but you need people that have a vision and are willing to invest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, twice? Thank you, and God bless you all. Thanks. Oh. My friend Todd Edwards has something.
You spell duplicative or
Duplicatus? You want me to spell duplicatus?
I'm trying to see if it's even a real word.
It's a real word. They didn't teach that at your high school, huh?
Woods down.
I'll text it to you right now.
I'm trying to text it to you.
Another round of applause for Senator Testa. Thank you, sir. Real asset to our district, so thanks again for coming. Just 30 more seconds, we've got the free giveaway here, so what do you think? We draw 2 of them, so let's see. Colleen, first one. Mr. DePalma, Larry DePalma. Sorry, Mike. That one's a free lunch, so there you go, Larry. One more. Andrew from Glen Insurance. Alder first, sorry. There we go, right in the back. Okay. And Mr. Infraero is going to actually engrave this for you, so you get that. So thank you, sir. Thanks for coming. Again, thanks everybody. Went a little long, so appreciate your time. Senator Testa, appreciate your time. Concludes. So up on the Mission Spirits on our website. 7 more tickets, so don't forget. Before the day's out.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.